Ladies and gentlemen, this is the main event of the evening.
Hold one, Andre.
You're not good at this. Get out. Let me tell you a personal story about Vince McMahon.
You just made the list.
Oh my God!
Sorry, no speak English.
Dummy. Goodbye and good night. Hold two, on bar.
It's still real to me, damn it.
Dummy.
This is the worst town I've ever been in.
Hold three, Lamas covers, three-handle family Gradunzel.
Mamma mia!
And now, Unchained.media presents the B Plus Podcast with your host, Greg Unchained.
It's me, Austin! It was me all along, Austin!
Number 4, Armbar.
I will never retire!
I still got 200 more. I got 200 more holes to list.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the B Plus Podcast. I am your host, Greg Unchained. Today is Thursday, so you know what that means. It's bonus episode time. A few weeks ago it was PWA, last week it was, the week before that it was MCW. I can't remember what it was last week, but we did a bonus episode last week as well, and we're doing another one this week because we have another big show right around the corner, RCW 200. It's the 200th show for my local, Riot City. Decided to do something a little bit different. For PWA and MCW, what I did was I got on a local fan who is a super fan and is affiliated with the B Plus in some way or another, and we spoke about what was going to happen at the show. Since I am a local fan, I thought I'd go a bit of a different route, and I reached out to someone who's actually involved in Riot City. That would be the commentator, Wolfdog. How are you, Wolfdog?
How are you, Greg? Great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much for joining us. I'm sure you're busy with show prep, getting ready for RCW 200. Big show.
Super big show. Everybody is super pumped for it, and it's, right around the corner now. So it is going to be very exciting, and yes, we are all a bit busy with it, but it's going to be a great night, so it's going to be well worth it.
Absolutely. So I will be there. I'll be rocking my Parea shirt, supporting the boys, hoping they can get some gold again.
Okay, I got to ask a question. Do you do the dance like Big Steam?
I do not.
Okay, because if you'd said yes, this was going to end the interview. I wasn't going to talk about it, and I was just going to leave.
No, I can't do the dance. I don't like to sweat in public.
Okay, that's fair enough. This is why I'm behind the commentary desk now and no longer in the ring. I understand that.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I know you have a bit of a history with Riot City, so you were there at show number 1.
I absolutely was back at the Irish Hall 200 shows ago. It was, not the Irish Hall, the Irish Club. Long time ago now. The Irish Club is where RCW 1 was held. I was the first person to walk through that curtain. And very, very honoured to be able to come back for RCW 200 and get to see this incredible show and get to be part of it.
Absolutely. And a long way the company has come. Upgraded venues a few times.
It's almost completely different company now. You know, there's, I think, if I'm obviously the RCW owner, Joe Greco, Chris Basso, the big Viking Groom, and I think Savannah Summers are the only originals, I believe, left that were on RCW 1 as well. So it's gone through quite a few changes over the years, but it's, I personally think it's one of, if not the best indie promotion in Australia today. But that might be a little bit biased on my part, I understand.
No, I feel like I'm biased as well because it's my local, but I put it up there with any of the others. I find it's a little bit different because, your PWA and your MCW, they're more likely to bring in your internationals, and even your interstate guys go a little more. But Riot City has stayed quite focused on local talent, much like EPW over in Perth as well. They're a lot more about the local scene and still managing to grow, still managing to fill out new venues and just put on fantastic shows. Some of the best talent in the country.
Oh, absolutely. And, you know, you were saying about the between the first show and this, you know, I came back to RCW at their 10th anniversary show. I got to be part of that. I got brought back, you know, as a special guest for that. And to see the changes in the company since the last time I was there, and I hadn't been there since about 2007, 2008, it was phenomenal. Just the organization and everything. You know, the backstage stuff you don't see, the way it's just become such a professional working machine is just fantastic. And I really think that shows in the product and everything they present. And I'm pretty sure it's going to be pretty obvious this Saturday night, because I think we're going to see exactly that, a fantastic show with a fantastic bunch of guys and girls.
Yeah, absolutely. I was blown away. So my first Riot City show would have been, I think, late 2014. So yeah, it was just before my daughter was born, so late 2014. And I was blown away. So, I mean, I knew that local wrestling was good because I was a regular at PWA shows up in Sydney. And when we moved down here, I was like, let's go check out a Riot City show. I was blown away by the production value. Having the screen and the lights and the music, and that's something that I'm very proud of Riot City with is the production value. And they upped that this year too when they did that show when you guys did that show at HQ.
Absolutely, and that's something that's progressively got better as, you know, as they've gone along. All the money that, you know, anything the company's made has gone back into the company to make it a better presented company, a better presented product for the, you know, for the fans. We want them to have the best possible night they can have, not just with the action in the ring, but just for the atmosphere and everything. And I think, well, as you said, I think it shows every show you go to.
Absolutely. It's always a really good time. So let's take a look around the corner to 200. Now, there aren't a lot of matches actually announced as we record this. We're recording this on the Tuesday before the show. You're hearing this on Thursday, people, but a little behind the curtain there. I take some time to put these together. So we're recording this on Tuesday, so there may be more matches announced by the time you hear this. But as we speak, there are 5, count them, 5 big matches for RCW 200. I think a good place to start would be with the return of Adam Brooks. Brooksy's back.
I tell you what, if you're going to ask me a match, which one should we talk about first? I would have went straight to this one. I am so looking forward to this, to be able to call this match. Rocky Menero, Adam Brooks. Brooksy, yeah, as you mentioned, has come back. Just had a very successful tour overseas, been all over the place, ended up on Ring of Honor pay-per-view against the Ring of Honor World Champion. He's really been getting his name out there. He was part of RCW 100. He's been a huge staple in making Riot City Wrestling what it is today. And, of course, his opponent in this match, one of the pound for pound, one of the best wrestlers in the country, I believe, especially to come out of South Australia, is Rocky Menero. Both of these guys are former RCW champions. This could be a main event anywhere in the country. I truly believe it's going to be mind-blowing.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. Rocky Menero is one that when I came down here, I'd never heard of him. I think that Australian wrestling's a little bit insulated sometimes. It's getting less so now, but I'd never heard of Rocky Menero. But he's actually a veteran of the Adelaide wrestling scene.
Absolutely. He got trained the same place I did at the legendary Monster Factory here in South Australia by the late, great Cole Devani. He has been, I think this would be 17th year. I think this is his 17th year in wrestling. So, you know, he's been around for a long, long time. Wrestled, oh, God, you name the name from at least South Australian wrestling, and he's been in the ring against them. So,
yeah, very impressive. And I find his in-ring style is the kind of style I really like. He's got that classic vibe to him. It's not, I mean, you know, obviously I enjoy watching, my favorite tag team are the Parea, right? So I like watching the flippy-do stuff and everything as well. But Rocky Menero is kind of your iconic wrestler.
Yeah, but he's also very adaptable. I've actually been in the ring against him, so I know how good he is. He is very adaptable to whoever he works with, and I pretty much could say the same about Adam Brooks. So I'm really looking for a fantastic match out of these two, and I think it could quietly be maybe the show stealer.
Yeah, it's absolutely a contender for sleeper match of the night, because it's not necessarily a high-profile match, other than the fact, of course, that it's Adam Brooks' return, and Menero's open challenge matches have been a highlight quite frequently.
I'm just happy I'm getting to see these two together, because I've never actually been able to call a match of these two in the same ring against each other. So this is kind of an announcer's dream match here.
Yeah, if you had to pick one to come out on top, who's your prediction?
God, the fans of the show, I think, would be the winners, because honestly, it could go either way with these two. They're both phenomenal athletes, and I couldn't even think about picking a winner here.
That's very much a company guy answer.
Well, yeah, it is, but it's also an honest one, because honestly, I think either one of these guys is good enough to beat the other, and all they've got to be is the best for 3 seconds, and that's the end of it. So, I guess we're going to see. We're going to find out this Saturday night.
Yeah, definitely. So, moving on, we have a 5-way women's championship match. Now, this is the current champion, Indi Hartwell, who won the title, making it her 3rd championship. She's Indi 3 belts at the moment. She's kind of our very own belt collector.
Impressive Indi Hartwell as well. I must add that. Impressive Indi Hartwell.
Oh, yes, of course. Impressive Indi Hartwell. Sorry, Indi. So she won the title back at HQ.
Absolutely, she did. And this is the first time ever we've had a fatal 5-way for the RCW Women's Championship. And she has 4 incredible contenders. She's going to have to really work to be able to walk out with the RCW Women's title on Saturday night, because do we want to run through who her contenders are? Because
absolutely, the challengers: Savannah Summers, who, as we mentioned, I believe, was at the first RCW show.
Absolutely, she's a huge. No offense to Chris Basso, I'm going to use one of his nicknames here, but she's been a huge cornerstone for not only Riot City Wrestling, but for women's wrestling. Obviously in RCW, but also in South Australia and Australia wrestling. She's been around for a long, long time. I remember when she started as a valet, and now she is easily one of the best Australian women's wrestlers there ever has been. So she's also the only, I believe, 3-time RCW women's champion. So she can make history Saturday night by becoming a 4-time women's champion. So there's a little bit of extra prestige there if she manages to walk away with the belt.
Yeah, definitely. I would have her as my pick, to be honest with you, but I think Indi is on a tear at the moment, so I'm actually looking for Indi to retain. But let's keep going. We have Blair Alexis as well.
Thank you. Yeah, she's an A-lister. She has not been an RCW women's champion, but I personally think she's one of the most underrated women's wrestlers out there, because she's fantastic in the ring. She really does know how to work a match. She knows how to really get in there for the killer. She considers herself an A-lister, so what better way to become, the A-lister in RCW, but to walk out of there RCW Women's Champion.
Right, so she'll be looking to really prove that name, prove that she is the A-lister.
Oh, absolutely. And I think if anybody walks in there underestimating her, they're going to be making a serious mistake. But I don't think any of these ladies are going to underestimate any of these women in this match.
We also have Izzy Shaw.
Izzy Shaw, the new, I believe it is Hunter Valley Wrestling Women's Champion.
Hunter Valley Wrestling, yes, she beat Tali, who I think is calling herself Starly now. Who has wrestled in Riot City Wrestling before as well. She defeated Tali for that one just a couple of weeks ago.
Well, that title obviously will not be on the line, but that's a big, big shot in the arm for Izzy Shaw. She's going to be gunning for that RCW Women's title. She would love, of course, to start her own belt collection, and what a better way to do that.
Yeah, and the 5th competitor, of course, Misfortune.
Now, I know you probably asked me at the end who I could see winning. I'd love to see Misfortune regain the RCW Women's title. She had to forfeit it. She had a serious injury, which basically she had to forfeit the title, and she thought her career was over. So she has worked very, very hard to get back to the point where she can get back in the ring. So this is a hugely special show for her. Obviously, it's that special moment, especially when you think your whole career's ended and she finds out that she's still able to compete. So this is a special night for her. So if she can prove herself, what a better way to prove herself but winning this belt.
Yeah, so after nearly 2 years, she's been out of action.
It's been a long time, but it's been a long road back for her as well. So, I think this is a huge match for her to jump back into, but, it's opportunity at the title. It's what, the athletes get in this sport for.
Definitely going to be a very special night. So, really good one. Any one of the 5 could come out. Who would be your prediction?
Oh.
Who do you want to see raise that title?
I think I got it. Man, so you're putting me on the spot. These women are going to beat the crap out of me when they see me Saturday night if I say the wrong name. I honestly, as I said, I think I want to see Misfortune do that just because she's such a tough road back. I've had my own injuries over the years, so I know how hard that is, especially when you think you're never going to wrestle again. So to get her back to where she is now, I think it's an amazing job for her. Blair Alexis, I think possibly really is probably more hungry than any of them. You know, she would really like to prove herself as one of the top athletes in the whole country. And again, another best way to do it, win the RCW women's title. So, you know, again, I'm going to say the answer. I'm going to be a company man for all of these. Any of these women could walk out. It's a fatal five-way. You know, yeah. I think the hardest job is going to be for impressive Indi Hartwell to be able to keep that title.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. I mean, the odds are against her. I mean, in a normal match, you have a 50-50 chance of winning, but then you take a triple. I'm not going to do the Steiner Math promo. No. I'm not. I was going to try, but you're looking at chances being significantly dropped when there are 5 competitors in the ring and there's no champion's advantage.
Exactly. And so, you know, I think she's going to have the hardest job. These other women, you know, Savannah Summers, she's had probably the most experience with biggest match, you know, big match experience as this is going to be. So, you know, she's probably got the most advantage out of all of them. But again, in this sort of a match, you just never know. So, again, I'm looking forward to this one. I'm looking forward to this whole show, top to bottom.
Yeah, the entire card that has been announced so far looks very exciting. And one of the best things about there only being 5 matches announced so far is anything could happen on the night. You know, we could, being a 200th show, everyone's going to want to get on there.
Absolutely. And, you know, RCW, there's always surprises. So, as you said, there's probably going to be some more matches between now and before the show announced. But, you know, you never know what surprise is going to come up on the night.
Now, let's move on and let's talk about another multi-person match. We have a triple threat match, which initially was believed to be for the Riot City Championship.
Yes.
And we got a curveball today on social media. A video dropped. Jimmy C apparently never intended for this to be for the championship. It's for the managerial services of the Chick. The match, of course, is Chris Basso versus Zak Sabbath versus Nick Armstrong.
That in itself is going to be a fantastic match. The yes. three top blokes in RCW at the moment. What Jimmy C is doing, I have no idea. So please don't ask me to explain this. Jimmy C is okay. I'll tell you one thing about Jimmy C. If he ever makes a weird decision like he has, there's got to be something for him down the track. There's he's got a plan, and it may not be obvious right now, but you know we're going to be talking about this in a little minute. But you know his bloke Kurt Barron is in a match where he could possibly win the key to the city. Maybe there's some sort of strategy there. I honestly don't know, but
yeah, there's never a move that this man makes that isn't calculated, even though. To look at Jimmy C or to listen to Jimmy C, you wouldn't necessarily think it. Everything he does has a purpose.
Oh, see, I like Jimmy C. I'm a big fan of Jimmy C. He's done he's done the Wolf Dog a lot of favors. You know, he's got me back out there again. So you know, I'm never going to say anything bad about Jimmy C. But you know, some of his decisions, you know, sometimes they confuse me. But then down the track, I go, oh, okay, yeah, I see what he did there. And you know,
right,
you never know. Maybe there is something down the track that I'm not seeing quite yet. But, of course, this young lady that's now being referred to as the Chick, she was referred to as Nick's Chick. She originally started as the valet for Nick Armstrong at the big HQ show when Chris Basso won the RCW Championship. He seemed to, steal her away from Nick Armstrong.
Right, we saw that play out at World Series Wrestling as well. They had their little Titanic moment.
Yes, it did. It followed over onto the pay-per-view for World Series Wrestling, and then... last show, of course, it was announced that Nick Armstrong had sold the contract for Zak Sabbath, which I actually think was mentioned on that video. Apparently, he only paid $20 for it. But, you know.
Yeah, and he claims it's the worst $20 he's ever spent. That was, what a lie.
Yeah, well, you know, considering he's basically really he paid it for nothing, really. But
yeah, because now he has to fight. Yeah.
So, but now apparently her managerial services or her valet services, whichever way you like to look at it, are now on the line, and the winner is going to walk away with her in their corner, I guess.
Yeah. So I'm looking for what I would consider an upset here. I think Sabbath is going to come out on top. I think it's an interesting story dynamic. From a fan perspective, to see what's going to happen beyond this, especially with the managerial services of the Chick involved. Sabbath's a wild card, and he's got that mist, and I love that mist. So,
well, anybody that knows me knows I have a bit of a history with Zak Sabbath, and I'm a big fan of him. I have a lot of respect for him, even though right now he's as goofy as a pet coon, but he has his own way about him, and I'm sure the Dark Prince would like to definitely walk away with this young lady in his corner. We saw him a few years ago now with a very, shall we say, an interesting way of trying to court Demi Bennett, of course. That was a bit creepy to say the least. So I'm pretty sure the chick won't want him to win. But, you know, who knows in this sort of match. I'm looking forward to the match itself because this match is going to be phenomenal with these three, regardless of what it's about. You know, these are the three top guys in RCW at the moment. One of them is the RCW champion. You know, if either Nick Armstrong or Zak Sabbath does end up winning this, not only obviously is, you know, they're going to get the services of the chick, but surely down the track they're going to get an RCW title shot at Chris Basso.
Yes, absolutely. Of course, for the chick's purposes, we should probably all be pulling for Chris Basso because he seems to be the only person in this triumvirate that respects her as a person. So I just think that
I think he just wants
we should throw that out.
I think he just wants his sandwiches made. You know, I don't know. You know, I'm sure she's great at multitasking. She can iron. No, I shouldn't say that. I'll save that for the night. Sean Fuster is going to hate working with me Saturday night. I guarantee it.
Yeah, save that for when you're behind the desk.
I'm always behind the desk.
Always working. So let's move on now. It seems weird, right, talking about that match in the middle of our show when that, like you said, it involves the Riot City Wrestling champion. It involves two of the absolute top guys in the three, of course, including the champion, of the top guys in the company with arguably the hottest story going in as well. But I feel like these next two matches that we're going to talk about have, one is obviously incredibly exciting and it's the first time ever, and the other it has massive implications for the future of the company as we move beyond 200. So which one do you want to talk about first?
I reckon we go for the Key versus Control next, because honestly, I mean, they've only had the 5 matches, you know, released as we mentioned, but it's such a stacked card already. You know, it's just a bonus on top of a bonus on top of a bonus as far as I'm concerned. But I reckon we need to talk about this. We've got Hammer going up against Kurt Barron. Of course, Kurt Barron is managed by Jimmy C, our general manager. And now, of course, for those that don't know, Hammer is the current Key to the City holder. And for those that don't know what that means, is basically he has a key to unlock a title opportunity whenever he wants.
Right, so it's basically Riot City's version of a Money in the Bank, if you were to look at it that way.
A Money in the what? Sorry, I'm not quite familiar with that. I only know about Keys of the City. I'm sorry. Yeah, basically he can unlock it. And as we know from a couple of years ago, Tyler Daniels flipped the system a little bit and he unlocked it on the Tag Team Championship. So it doesn't actually have to be the RCW title. But
of course,
regardless, now, of course, Kurt Barron has a opportunity to win that key, but to get that opportunity, Jimmy C has had to put up his general managership of RCW up. So he's obviously pretty confident Mr. Barron can deliver the goods for the night, but he's kind of stacking the deck a little bit by getting Brad Smythe, who was a very nice young man one time, former RCW champion. No idea why he wants to hang around with Jimmy C, but he does. And he's now going to be a special guest referee. So, you know, the Hammer's really got the deck stacked against him. I'll get it right. For this match. But, you know, there's a lot on the line here. And as you said, it's got huge implications on the future of this company. I know a lot of people would like to see Jimmy C given the heave-ho. Yeah. And, well, this could happen. This could be the last.
The RCW faithful are not as big a fans of Jimmy C as you are. Not as big a fans of Jimmy C as I am, because I look at it as this guy is highly entertaining. So even though everyone else is standing there booing, I'm just silently applauding, like, this is very fun.
Well, he's very entertaining, but you also got to understand, he was part of the reason we've got these great matches for RCW 200. I don't think the fans think of that. Who do you think? He's the general manager. He's the one making these matches.
He's the one putting things together,
Absolutely.
Pulling all the cards, pulling the strings, putting the players into place for what is going to occur.
They should respect him a lot more, I believe. I know, as you said, the RCW faithful aren't big fans, but, you know, so what? I'm pretty sure he's not big fans of a lot of the RCW fans either. But anyway, the match is...
As you said, the deck is stacked, though, and, I mean, the match is going to be a fantastic match. Hammer, once again, another absolute veteran of the Adelaide wrestling scene, and Kurt Barron, a bit of a young up and comer, a bit of a blue chip prospect. Large.
Did you just say blue chip? Oh, I hope Dean Brady doesn't hear you say that.
Oh, right. Yeah. Gimmick infringement.
Yes, I reckon. But yes, no, I do agree. I won't use that particular term because Dean Brady will have words to me as well then. But Kurt Barron, I honestly, taking away this match and its implications, phenomenal athlete. I've looked at him as a young Brody Marshall. Like, he's just a huge athlete. But how good he is now, I'm so interested to see how good he's going to be in 5 years, because I truly believe he's one of the futures of Riot City Wrestling.
Absolutely.
And he got that huge opportunity in this match. If he can get that key to the city, he can unlock that title opportunity anytime he wants. And
we could be looking at the next champion.
Absolutely. And I think we will somewhere down the track. Maybe not, maybe here, maybe not. But down the track, I honestly believe there's going to be RCW belts around this young man's waist, shoulder, wherever he really wants to put them, really.
Wherever he chooses to put it. Some people like to hang it around the neck.
Well, some people, I remember when, back in the day, I had to put it over my shoulder because my stomach was too big. But anyway.
They sell extenders, right?
Well,
you can
yes.
extenders for that.
Anyway, that's not here or there. But, with Brad Smythe as the special guest referee, and I honestly can't see he's going to call this down the middle, but you know what? Hammer is one of these guys that just keeps going. He's fought through adversity before, so if anybody can fight through it again, it's going to be him.
Right, just to win the key to the city, he had to overcome all of these guys.
Absolutely.
All the Jimmy C's entire little group were out there, so I believe Jimmy C ended up going through a table.
And honestly, this match, though, is very, not officially, but it's kind of like old guard versus new guard,
Yes, it does. It definitely feels that way.
And these two are, outside of course, the Viking Grim, two of the biggest guys in RCW, and also two of the most athletic. I wonder sometimes if either one of these have been told that they're actually big guys, because some of the stuff I've seen them do, I'm just like, they shouldn't be able to do that. But they just are. They just have that athletic. So I'm looking forward to this. It's going to be what's the old phrase from WrestleMania 3? The irresistible force and the immovable object. That's really what we're going to see. And somewhere in the middle of that is going to be Brad Smythe, probably squashed between the two.
Yes, and it's something that I've noticed in my time as a Riot City fan is Hammer can take a beating. So Kurt Barron's going to have to come with absolutely everything in order to keep this man down, to maintain control and to gain that key. It's going to be an exciting match, and I'm looking for Kurt Barron to pull it out because, as you said, the old guard versus the new guard, I got to pull for new because, as Barney Stinson says, new is always better.
Okay, so basically what you want me to say at the start of the show, I should find you, point you out, and tell every single fan there that you're actually pulling for Kurt Barron.
Please do not. I would like to leave and be able to do a recap show afterwards. I want to leave safely. Or maybe they'll spare me because I have the Parea shirt. The Parea are fan favorites when it comes to the RCW crowd. The fully sick chants almost raise the roof off the building every time. Let's get to that.
I have to take Panadol every time they're out there. The fans love them that much and make so much noise for them. Oh my goodness!
Well, the music doesn't help either, right? Let's be
honest. It helps them. I'm just an old man.
I mean, for the headache, though.
Absolutely, it helps a lot. Yeah. I was going to say it's I'm probably just jealous because I'm an old man and can't dance like that. But that's not the point. It is a match we definitely need to talk about. Though it is probably going to be this is another first TLC RCW Tag Team Championship, 4 teams. It's a tables, ladders, and chairs. It's going to be just mayhem. I mean,
it's going to be insane. Bodies everywhere. Absolute violence is what Grim told me when I sat down to speak to him last week. So
that's pretty much every TLC match that's ever been out there. There is no championship advantage. As much as the Millenials are going in champions, as soon as those belts are hung up at the ceiling, there is no championship advantage. It is, those belts are quite literally up for grabs.
Right, so the Millenials are defending the straps against the Parea, who recently lost the PCW Tag Team Championships over in Melbourne. So they've got something to prove. They're looking to get some gold back.
Oh, absolutely. They are very, very hungry.
Yeah, we've got the Rude Ones, more complete, absolute veterans of South Australian wrestling, one of the best tag teams in the country, probably at this point the most experienced tag team in the country.
Oh, absolutely. And also, just from Riot City Wrestling history, the only 2-time RCW tag team champions at this point. But also, I want to point out that both of these men are also former RCW singles champions as well. So they are, two of the most experienced guys in this match, without a doubt. Especially Marvel. He's been around a good 20-odd years in Australian wrestling. He's, obviously Bulldog McKenzie has sat on a learning tree with him and has just, absorbed every bit of knowledge. So this is why they're as good as they are. And, of course, let's not forget, of course, outside of the ring, I can only assume, unless they are banned from ringside, we're going to have Venus, we're going to have Big Steam, and we're going to have whatever member of the Parea is not, if the Millennials is not actually in this match. So we are literally going to have bodies everywhere.
Yeah, and I mean, look, being a TLC match, you got to assume that they're probably going to get involved because there's nothing stopping them.
I was going to say, even in normal matches, you expect them to get involved, and they usually do. So, a TLC match, as you said, there's nothing stopping them. So you can just imagine this is going to be carnage. And if Grimm said there's going to be violence, well, then there's going to be violence.
Yeah, it didn't feel like a prediction. It definitely felt like a promise. And that is, of course, the fourth team, Gods and Monsters, the Viking Grimm, and Big Brody Marshall. New team. Never
thought in a million years I'd see these two team up together. They've had so many phenomenal matches against each other. They've basically wanted to rip each other apart, but now they have seemed to have found some sort of common ground, common respect maybe for each other. And
it's one of those things, when you punch another man in the face enough, it's hard not to respect each other.
Really? Because Sean Fuster still doesn't respect me, and I've got to punch him a few times. No, I'm serious.
It needs to be mutual, I think.
Oh, it has to be mutual. Okay, well.
You need to be punching each other in the face.
Don't tell him that. He might try.
Fuster doesn't strike me as the type.
Oh, no, I'm going to keep out of his way now, just in case. But,
Fuster, if you're listening, the trick is to punch back.
No, shush. Just shush, or I'm going to point you out in the crowd and embarrass you. Okay. Gods and Monsters. The Big Viking Grimm, he was on RCW 1, crowned the very first RCW champion. Beat Cash Courageous, became the first RCW champion. What a historic thing for him to be able to walk out at RCW 200, his first ever reign as a tag team champion. This would actually be Brody Marshall's second reign as tag team champion. He's also a two-time RCW champion. On top of that, huge experience, big match experience for both of these guys. So, we've just got four incredible teams in this match.
These are, again, I find myself being biased because obviously this is my local, but these are four of the best teams in the country. I say it every time I talk about the Parea, every time I talk about the Millennials, of course the Rude Ones, and Gods and Monsters, despite being new, I mean, they're two of the best single guys in the country, as far as I'm concerned. So to have them teaming up, and they're just both big boys, and there's a lot of damage they can do. They're actually, at this point in time, winless, though, which is something that the Millennials pointed out, that the Millennials have some really good points going into this match, that the Gods and Monsters have not won a match. The Parea won titles, but lost them. The Rude Ones won titles, but lost them twice.
Something else.
Have some points.
I was going to say something else I want to point out as well is the Millennials seem to have the favour of Jimmy C. Not saying that's going to help them in this match, but if he's still general manager by this time this comes around, you never know who's going to interfere in this match for them.
Yeah, well, depending on where this match is on the card and how things play out throughout the night, I mean, that could be an absolute non-factor, or it could be the deciding
Absolutely.
factor. So there's a lot of ways this could play out. I'm going to be pulling for my boys, the Parea, but honestly, I think it's, even without the championship advantage, I think that the Millennials, they may be able to pull this one out.
Well, really, it's even, Stephen. I mean, as I said, those belts are going to be hanging from the ceiling. Maybe you could look at Gods and Monsters having the advantage because they're so much taller. They won't have to go up the ladder as far. The Parea, I can't even get the pronunciation right. They've only just lost championships. They are very hungry to get titles back again. They know what it feels like to be champions now, and that's an incredible feeling. And they are, without a doubt, probably the fastest rising tag team I think I've ever seen in tag team wrestling in South Australia. Eli Thesis, of course, went over to the Storm Wrestling Academy and got trained by Lance Storm because he really wants his career to blossom, and this is something very serious to him. So I'm sure that all three I can't imagine the party if they do win. The Big Steam will have some sort of dance party, I have no doubt.
Yeah, and I feel like Latvian Hall will implode.
Well, I'm hoping all the fans that do come to join us make as much noise as you want. This is RCW 200. It's going to be super huge. So, you know what? Let's implode the place. Let's explode the place. Let's make sure that everybody knows that RCW 200 is here and we're having a good time because I think it's going to be a fantastic night. I'm so looking forward to this.
As am I, and I'll make sure I come up and say hi this time around. I tend to be a bit of an introvert at shows. I sort of sit at the back with my phone and do my live tweeting and results and all that sort of stuff. And,
me too. Yeah, I'm a very introverted person. I don't say much at all, ever.
So I'll try to make myself known and come up and say hi. But thank you so much for joining us to break down the card, Wolf Dog. As you said, there's only a few matches there, announced 5 matches, but it still feels like an absolute stacked card. I'm very excited. It's going to be one of the biggest shows of the year. Before I let you go, though, where can people find you on the social medias?
Oh, probably asleep usually. But it is under Big Bad Wolf Dog. It's 2 G's in dog. Big Bad Wolf Dog. You'll find me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. But more importantly, make sure you follow Riot City Wrestling. They are on Facebook and Instagram under Riot City Wrestling, and Twitter is RC Wrestling. So give them all a follow and a like. And you'll find out all the information from Riot City Wrestling absolutely the moment it happens it's been announced.
Yeah, and all of those profiles will be linked in the show notes. I am, of course, at Greg Unchained on Twitter, at the Greg Unchained on Instagram. You can also find us at the B Plus Wrestle on Twitter because wrestling wouldn't fit. The B Plus Wrestling everywhere else. That's Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Spotify. We are taking over the world. Like, share, subscribe, leave a 5-star review if you can, and thank you so much for listening.
Hold one! Arm drag! You're not doing this. Get out. Let me tell you a personal story about Vince McMahon. You just made the list! Oh my God!
So, no speak English.
Yummy! Yeah. Goodbye and good night. Hold 2! Arm bar!
This is the worst town I've ever been in.
It's still real to me, damn it!
Yummy! Yeah. Hold 3! The moss covered 3-handle family Granunzo.